What is up, everybody? We are here, week 9, pack slate of Hold Down the Fort today. We got some NBA, NFL, soccer, possible UFC. Got another, we are second time's the charming this with the UFC segment today. And your best bets going into Super Bowl weekend. Just had the deadline, Super Bowl on Sunday. This is a loaded week for sports. And we are just going to jump right into it. As always, Sam, Rohan, Renee, Michael, everyone here today. We are ready to go. So let's just get straight into this. And NBA, this is our second time talking NBA on the Big Pod. Obviously with Super Bowl coming up and college football over, NBA is going to have to become a much bigger part of the pod. So let's get started here. Post-trade deadline stuff. Everyone knows the blockbuster, 1 a.m. Had me waking up when I saw Woj on my phone. KD to the Suns. Nobody saw this coming right now, at least. Maybe over the summer we did, but no one could have expected this when it happened.
I actually do have to say, I don't know who showed me, but it was in someone's TikTok comments like a few days before the trade happened. It was like some random comments at the top. They were like, KD to the Suns, KD to the Suns. And I just like quickly shot it down. I didn't think anything of it. And it was
Well,
like,
it was supposed
dang,
to happen over summer when he wanted that trade the first time, and then nothing ever came of it because
well,
he ended
yeah.
up taking it back.
Did you also see like a week before the trade actually happened, like someone put an obscene amount of money on like the Suns to win like the championship? They must have definitely known
That's
some
some
like
insider trading right there.
yeah, I know exactly, but yeah.
But KD to the Suns, Kevin Durant and TJ Warren go to Phoenix. In return, Brooklyn got Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, which they then flipped to Milwaukee, actually, but he was initially in the trade, as well as 2023, 25, 27, and 29 first-round picks. And I believe a pick swap was in there, too. So, certainly an interesting haul for Kevin Durant. You did good on the pick side. The player side is up for debate. But, so KD's gone. Kyrie's gone. But now if you look at Phoenix, you have Chris Paul at point guard, Devin Booker at the 2. I assume KD at the 3. Don't really know what they're going to do with that 4 spot. Maybe TJ Warren has to start right away, honestly. And then DeAndre Ayton at the 5. So that's as stacked as a starting 5 as you're going to see in the league. The question is this title or bust now for Phoenix after this major blockbuster trade? Michael, what do you think? Title or bust?
Are you asking, do I think they're going to win a title? Or
do you have to win the title for this to be a successful season now that you've traded for Kevin Durant?
Yeah. Are you asking like is that my take that like it's a title or bust situation?
I'm just saying that's just the question. Like now that you have this roster, if they don't win the title, is that a disappointment?
They'd probably be my favorite in the West. I mean, they made the finals last year. You add a guy like KD.
Or year before.
Oh, sorry, year before, yeah. I mean, you keep DeAndre Ayton, you have KD now, Devin Booker, CP3. Like their starting roster is loaded. I do have some questions about like the depth behind those guys that they gave away. Maybe defensively they like get a little bit worse. But I think overall, like, yeah, like it's like now or never, I think, if you're the Phoenix Suns. You don't really know who you're gonna be able to retain in the coming years as well. You have the roster now, you have the talent now, you have the record now. So I think that, I think it is kind of a title or bust situation. I do think that they are the odds-on favorite and should be and deserve to be to win the title now. We have to remember, like, I'm not the biggest KD fan, but when you add like a generational talent like that to your roster, it does change the outlook of your season for the better compared to when you didn't have him before. So I still think KD is probably one of, if not the best scorer in basketball. I don't know. They have a loaded roster, and I do think that if they don't win a championship this year, it would kind of be a disappointment for Suns fans.
Yeah, definitely. And you bring up some good points about the bench. If we take a look at that now, you're working with what? Cam Payne, Damian Lee. I mean, what else do you really have going for you as far as the bench goes? And I know rotations shrink in the playoffs, but you might legitimately only have 5 guys to play, maybe 6 with Cam Payne if you're the Suns now. So this could cause some problems. I'm not exactly the highest on Chris Paul at his old age. I don't know what he can bring anymore. We saw that last year in the playoffs, how he kind of faded out against the Pelicans and then definitely faded out against the Mavericks. DeAndre Ayton and the coach seem like they're fighting every other game, and it's going to be a lot of issues. But when you just look at that roster on paper, that starting 5, I mean, I agree. It does feel like it's a disappointment if you don't win. You should be the favorites in a wide open West. It's really just you and Denver right now. So yeah, I mean, I agree. Those are all good points. Vinay, how about you? What are your thoughts after seeing this trade? Is it title or bust?
Yeah, my initial thoughts after hearing this trade were immediate excitement and joy because I cannot wait to watch the Suns crumble in a 7 game series this year. Like
I agree.
the Suns
I'm right there
basketball
with
is going
you.
to be so fun, so entertaining. Honestly, makes the playoffs that much more fun this year because I can't wait to see a team like the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Warriors just absolutely thrash this Suns team just because they do not have any depth. They have a bunch of people that who knows how
Not
quick
great defense
you
either.
know. Yeah, they lost the defensive player of the year, like caliber player in Mikal Bridges. That's a huge loss. You lose Jay Crowder. TJ Warren, like randomly in this deal, kind
It's
of
just it's
cracked
for
me
like
up.
salary purposes at that point.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't think he's gonna add much there. He can't really fill the void. Yeah, KD's gonna be a great scorer, but gelling in the middle of the season to make like a spontaneous title run is just not something we've seen succeed that often in the NBA.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I look forward to watching them crumble this year. Next year, watch out for them, definite title favorites, but I'm not ready to anoint them just yet.
Yeah, I agree. Rohan, you got any closing thoughts here on this KD trade?
I mean, yeah, mostly agree with everyone. It definitely seems like Phoenix is just putting all of their chips into the season and the next one to win the championship. But what do you have a stacked Western Conference with the Golden State Warriors, the Nuggets, the Grizzlies who are currently on a 2-for-8 last 10 game streak, kind of faltering, and you have the Mavericks who just acquired Kyrie, which we called by the way on the podcast.
Yes, we did.
We did call that. It seems, this is going to be a very, very difficult rest of the season for the Suns, who are currently sitting in sixth in the Western Conference. And I just don't see any team in the West right now beating either the Celtics or the Bucks in the finals. So it kind of seems like a little bit of a lost cause at this point for 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 the Suns. My only hope is kind of either the Nuggets or the Mavericks to win the West, and we'll give at least the Celtics or the Bucks a little bit of a run for their money. Just my early preliminary prediction for the
Hmm.
for the final.
Yeah, that's all good points. I mean, you're right. We did call Kyrie on the pod, and yeah, like we all kind of just unanimously agree almost when you take a team's depth and their defense away, and there's 27 games left in the season for most teams, maybe 28, 29 for some others, 26, but it's around 27 games left. Is that really enough time to add a piece like Kevin Durant, who's still injured and he's still going to miss a little more time, to a guy like Devin Booker, who's been injured this year and missed time, who just came back? Chris Paul, we all know the injury history there. So yeah, that presents a lot of interesting points on how this is going to go down during the stretch. We also see other teams stack up at the trade deadline. The Clippers got a bunch of good role players. Uh, who else? Nuggets got some interesting pieces, but they were already super good before. Warriors get a lot of their defense back. Lakers, of course, making sure. So it's going to be an interesting Western Conference. Obviously, Phoenix should be the favorite, but I think there's a lot of questions that we need to see answered before we anoint them the new kings of the West. But with
Yeah.
that being said, oh
Well,
yeah, go ahead,
actually,
sorry.
before we get to that, yeah, I know you have the take, Sam, that this was a fleecing, right? You said that the
I did,
Suns
yeah, I
fleeced.
did think that it was a not quite the package you should have got for.
Do you are you still standing by that? I don't.
Um, I slept on it a bit, and I don't know. I don't know if I would go so far as to say it was a fleece, but I feel like you did good on the pick side. 4 first-round picks and a swap. I can't be mad about that. But you gotta think. I mean, I get it. Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. Those are two very solid players. I feel like this deal had to have Aiton or Paul, one of those stars in it. You can't let him get away with getting 4 of those guys on the same team. Mikal Bridges is great. I actually really like him as a player. Cam Johnson's like an above average role player. He was a good shooter. He's still hitting at a pretty impressive clip. But that's not, a piece that's going to blossom. You needed to do more on the player perspective of this trade. I really would have liked to see DeAndre Ayton included in the deal if I was Brooklyn. And now it feels like that's 2 trades in a row with 2 superstars, 3 if you want to include Harden, that Joe Tsai has kind of just butchered a bit, and he hasn't really gotten what you would expect when you have 3 superstars on the team.
I mean,
That's probably a topic for another day as far as
if I'm the Nets,
trades go.
then I'm just putting all of my chips like for the future, like selling away, like moving all of my big stars away to acquire picks for later drafts. Like
You got the
looking.
picks. I don't know. I think you could have done
Yeah.
more when you have three players like Kyrie, Harden, and KD, and the best player you get back combined in those three deals is Mikal Bridges or Spencer Dinwiddie. Like,
Yeah. No, I agree. It's an utter embarrassment what the Brooklyn Nets did with that roster. I know, like me personally, when I saw Harden, Kyrie, and KD like on the same team, I was like,
I remember where I was when I got the notification
yeah,
that Harden was traded.
yeah, this is the potential. I was thinking about this is the potential to be the best big three in history, right? Like, and they had nothing to show for it. A complete utter embarrassment that organization is. And I get like they kind of realized it wasn't going to work out, and I think they're smart to like Rohan said, kind of hedge their bets in their future stock. But man, like I do agree though on the player side of that trade, you probably would like to see Aiden, but I do think that 4 first rounders and some younger guys is not necessarily the worst thing that you could have had.
I mean, we also got to
I
remember
also
that it's Kevin Durant. Like, we have to look
yes,
at the
but
magnitude of players getting traded compared to a Rudy
yes,
Gobert who fetched
but
4 role players and 5 other picks. I mean,
you also got to ask how many years has KD got left in him? Like I don't
his
know.
contract's got 4, so.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if he goes much further than that, but
I mean,
Yeah.
I know.
if you look at it on net, Jeremy Lin and Carmelo Anthony had the same number of rings as KD, Kyrie, and Harden in New York. So let's just leave it at that.
Fun
I
fact.
guess.
All right, yeah. Speaking of Kyrie, the Mavericks trades. Quick thoughts on that, guys. What do you guys? I know Rohan and Sam called it, so you guys want to speak?
We did.
Honestly, I completely that was a shot in the dark. The Mavericks are looking like a very strong contender in the West, and to add a piece like Kyrie to the Mavericks, I think Mark Cuban is doing some fantastic, dealings.
No, I think he overpaid so much. This was such a
Really?
desperate move.
Really? You think that was an overpay?
Well, I don't know. I just think it was a desperate move, and the Mavericks. This doesn't solve their problems per se. I think that
It doesn't. It solves some of them. It just doesn't solve everything.
Yeah. Like honestly, from when they had Jalen Brunson to now, I don't think their roster has considerably improved. I know Christian Wood is a big piece. We'll see how he fares in the playoffs. But yeah, I'm just kind of skeptical, and Kyrie has given us the reason to be skeptical because he's gone to these powerhouse teams, the Celtics, the Nets, and now the Mavericks. I don't know. I'm just kind of like if I were a general manager, I would not touch Kyrie. So, and I know that he's a superstar, but I wouldn't like commit to him. And I think I'm hesitate to think that he's going to stay there long term. And past this season, like past these next few months, who knows if he's even going to stay a Maverick. So it's an interesting deal for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought you say it was a bad deal. It was definitely desperate, but we all knew they were desperate because you don't want to just have a guy like Luka and waste him away playing with role players. We've seen that one star and a bunch of role players is not the motto that wins. The Warriors quickly dealt with them in 5 games last year, and that was with Jalen Brunson on the squad. So Luka needs a number 2, and you didn't give up much, in my opinion. I would have liked to see you keep Dorian Smith and maybe throw someone else in there, but I get it. Contracts sometimes you just got to match them, and it is what it is.
Go Gators, by the way.
He played for UF?
Yes, he did.
Gotcha. But yeah, I mean, Dinwiddie and Kyrie is like somewhat of a it's a trade off. One scoring point guard for another point guard who does it at a higher level. So I get that. 29 first round pick. If you got Luka, you can't really be worried about 2029 right now. So I get that. And then second round picks are second round picks. I would have liked to see you keep Dorian Smith, but otherwise, I felt like that's a fine deal for the Mavericks. You're not doing this to commit to Kyrie long term, and you didn't really hedge much of anything on him. You're doing this to see how this works for the rest of the year. And if it does go good, you offer him that little 2-year extension, maybe 3 if he really wants to be there. But yeah, this wasn't something where you're mortgaging your future on Kyrie. You're simply giving up role players that were on somewhat expensive contracts and 1 first-round pick to go for it. But this kind of harps back to my point about Josiah. This was not the best trade package that was available for Kyrie, but he let his personal ego and his personal wants get in the way of where he ultimately chose to send Kyrie. And it cost him. You get 2 role players back who you have no use for in a rebuilding team, and you get 1 first-round pick that you won't be able to use for another 6 years. So That's just my thoughts again on Josiah. But I'll let you guys take over the rest of this. What were your thoughts about the Kyrie deal?
Oh, for me, I don't. Well, instead of like, discussing like the logistics of the trade, I think, I kind of want to like to touch on like the dynamic, like between Luca and Kyrie. I think this is one of the more interesting, teammate or like relationships we're gonna see in the NBA. I think it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out. I know we were talking about who's gonna end up playing the one. I think Kyrie, like you said, is gonna end up playing the two more so, just like he did with Harden at Brooklyn. But I'm so interested to see if Luca and Kyrie can really mesh together. I know a lot of people think of them as kind of like yin and yang, like complete opposite characters. But yeah, I think they're both two of the most skilled and talented players in the NBA. And I want to see if their production can kind of like be amplified by each other, or if it'll be hindered by each other. I'm really interested to see kind of how it plays out. I think there's a high potential that it works, and how quickly it works and to what extent. I'm not so sure. I also do want to say, I think that John Morant saying that he was chilling in the West might have something to do with KD and Kyrie going to the West. So
very well could be true.
Yeah, maybe they heard that news report about him flaring the stick out the window.
Grizzlies wouldn't be chilling in the West even without KD and Kyrie being there. I don't think they would have gone very far. But yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. With that being said, I think we should move on to something.
Yeah.
I think Rohan, Vinay, and myself got to watch in the library here at UF. Unfortunately, on one of the quieter floors, we couldn't go that berserk, but we ended up witnessing history right before our eyes. LeBron James, my GOAT, should be your GOAT too, broke the NBA all-time leading scoring record, over 38,000 points over his 20-year-long career. First of all, like I was talking about this with Harris, I think last year, and we were like, he's going to break the record next season. We should try to predict what game it's going to be at and go to that game. Didn't end up happening. I had an exam or whatever, and like also a lot of money. Probably wouldn't have predicted it correctly, but like this was honestly such a monumental moment, I think, because honestly, like I don't know, like after Kareem set the record, people were saying, this record will never be touched again. That's what people like almost unanimously thought that. And for us to have a guy who like is just so dedicated to his craft and like has gotten there now, and he still has probably a few more years in the league, is just unbelievable. Like I cannot. He's gonna hit 40,000, I think, before he retires. And that's just a mark that to say that you're the highest scoring player in the history of one of the most competitive sports in the world, like that is just such an accomplishment. And the question I have for y'all is, does this kind of solidify him as a GOAT? For me, the short answer is he was already my GOAT. I think that this should definitely quiet some of the qualms other people have about him being the GOAT over MJ. But what do y'all kind of think?
I would say that he definitely he helped his legacy a lot by breaking this record. I think it silenced a lot of the doubt in terms of, can he really become, that that icon beyond like all these great players, So I feel like the way that he's gonna the way he passed that record with the fadeaway shot, that watching that happen was like, dang, like this is my like version of when MJ hit that shot over Elo, that like clutch jumper, just sunk it in, iconic jumper. You don't really see those that much in the modern NBA, and like the way he broke that was such a like throwback in my opinion. Like it reminded me when I watched The Last Dance and MJ kind of walking up Elo up the court and then just draining a midi on him. And I feel like what LeBron did today is definitely going to be like a documentary moment. He walks up that guy, hits a fadeaway on him. I just felt like I was watching like something that I'll watch again in like 40, 50 years when you see a biopic on why LeBron had the greatest career of all time. And so definitely a special event that happened.
Yeah, and it just seems so casual for him too. Like, there were questions of whether, he's going to try to slam it home, maybe take like a deep three, the fuck you three or whatever it's called. But like, you know,
But
like
with
it was just so casual. You know, you just post it up, turns around, boom, right? And it's like we've seen him do it over and over and over again. And you know, this one just meant a little, so much more. You know, I'm also putting this out there. I think I'm ready to say this, but I'm willing to debate anyone on the GOAT debate between LeBron and whoever. If you want to challenge me, you're invited to come on the show. You know, we take no prisoners, so I'm willing to get in that debate. And yeah, I'm pretty confident that I could win that argument. So if y'all want to see someone, or if you're watching this and you think, you know, MJ is the GOAT or whatever, and you're an old head like that, please, I welcome you to join.
We gotta get Harris on here because Harris is the biggest adversary to the LeBron GOAT status debate.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, Harris was trying to say, you know, we won't be able to hold down the fort. I think we could definitely hold it down.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't know. I just don't think there's too much of a convincing argument anymore, just in my opinion. But yeah, what do y'all think, Sam and Rowan?
Yeah, I agree with you. You kind of hit the nail on the head here. He was already my GOAT before. I thought it was, you know, fairly close. I can always understand the argument for Jordan, especially without a scoring title under LeBron's name. I mean, you know, 6 finals, no losses, all that stuff. But no, he's my GOAT. I think this definitely was like a cherry on top. You know, you got the 3-1, you got your 10 finals, 9 straight or whatever it was. So, yeah, you're right. This solidifies him as the GOAT for me. Also willing to debate anyone on it. I think it's always one of the most fun debates, and I'm sure we'll have some good content on that coming eventually. But I'm right there with you. It was great to see. I was in my room watching it. I had it on the TV. I was on the phone with some friends because we were all tuned in. It was a great moment. It definitely solidified him as the GOAT, in my opinion. Rohan, why don't you take us home right here?
Yeah, I mean, more so about like the moment itself because I can't really provide much insight into the actual debate itself. But like, this is one of those moments in sports where not that many people actually get to like experience it. Like, it's one of those records, like Pele winning 3 World Cups and like Usain Bolt like being the fastest man alive, like setting a new world record. Like, this is one of those moments in sports that will be remembered in history. And to be a part of that, it was something like very special. Like Michael mentioned, like this is something that we will like remember like 20 years from now, like, oh, we used to watch LeBron break the scoring record on the 3rd floor, the Martian Science Lab at UF. Like, it was a great moment to have, and obviously, you know, LeBron is an exceptional player, and I'm sure you can make a fantastic argument for him being the GOAT after breaking the scoring record. But yeah, those are just my thoughts.
All right, Sam, you got like a game for us to play here?
Yeah, right before we get to that game, I just want to ask you guys all a quick question. You know, we all realize that the KD trade happened, whatever. That's obviously the biggest move in Kyrie. But there's a ton of little mini under the radar trades that go on, and you know, good quality role players going to other teams that are contending. And I'm just curious if any of you guys had a specific little under the radar trade, you know, that maybe not all of us are as keen on, that you would want to point out that could have some implications down the road post deadline.
Yeah. I think first off, this is a great question, and I think that a move that has to be spotlighted more actually involves my Orlando Magic. The Mo Bamba for Patrick Beverly trade has to be one of the crazier trades that kind of happened under
Pat
the
Beverly
radar.
is getting bought out, by the way, just for reference for the people
Right, right.
watching.
But I just found it funny that the Lakers moved on from Pat Beverly, you know, after all the antics you
Yeah.
saw this year. And it's just interesting to see him hit the market because a guy like that is such a wild card. You add him to any team, they obviously get like a lot more menacing. They got a
Yeah.
lot more like views from all the like BS that he tries to pull, which is kind of hilarious. Like I used to
I'm
hate
sure he'll
Pat
find a
Beverly.
home pretty quick on the buyout
Yeah.
market.
I just think that like look out for where Pat Beverly goes. Mo Bamba on the Lakers does not make any real sense. Like
Well, you need a backup center because you traded Thomas Bryant away.
right, but Thomas Bryant was way better than Mo Bamba in my opinion. I don't think they should have
It
moved.
was locker room issues though. That's why they got rid of Bryant. It wasn't anything as far as
Yeah,
long
but I mean in
business.
terms of their basketball play, I don't think it
Yeah, I
improved
agree.
dramatically at all.
I agree.
It's kind of just like a rotational move, but
Good defender too.
I just thought it was funny that the Lakers offloaded Pat Beverly and brought on Mo Bamba. It seemed very random and
Especially after he posted the Instagram thing after the D'Angelo Russell trade, saying that the gang is
yeah.
back together, and then 10 hours
It's
later
so it's
getting
almost
shipped
like they
out.
were trolling Pat Beverly. It's hilarious. Like stuff like this you only really see in the NBA, where like guys just like
You're
get
right.
traded mid game or like mid tweet. So it was cool.
How about Rohan, Michael? Any of you guys have any under the radar NBA trades that could have an impact down the stretch?
Low key, I like the D'Angelo Russell to the Lakers trade. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
low
kind
key,
of
you're right.
feeling, some good vibes around this man. Let's see what LeBron can teach him. He's already,
Yeah.
up there as one of the better players in the league. And
Yeah,
with
I
LeBron,
agree.
by his side, and also Westbrook being offloaded from the Lakers, this man, has all the potential to exceed expectations in Los Angeles. So I definitely be on the lookout for Mr. Russell here.
Yeah, for me, it's a bit of a smaller one. I think Harris might like this, but Josh Hart to the Knicks.
Okay.
I think they add a nice rebounding guard. I watched Josh Hart in college a tiny bit. I think it was Villanova. I don't know. He was fun to watch, but it's not a guy who's gonna average like 20 and 10. But I think it adds some solid depth to that roster for sure.
Cam Reddish to the Trailblazers too. It's a nice, interesting younger piece to put in alongside other wings that they have like Shaden Sharp and those guys with Dame.
For sure, for sure. All right, you think it's time to pull the trigger on the game now?
Yeah, so let's get into this. And I know we originally said that this was going to be a pyramid, but some minute changes were made when I realized that I don't have the necessary editing to do a pyramid just yet. So pyramid will be coming soon. For now, we have a contenders and pretenders game where you guys name me an NBA team. I will tell you if they are a contender or a pretender. And if we disagree, and we'll have some interesting discourse about that. But with that being said, pretty simple game. Let's get right into this. Vinay, give me an NBA team.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh, easy contender. You got a big three of Giannis, Middleton, Holiday, all playing at fairly high levels now that Middleton is back. You're improving the depth with Jay Crowder. Got rid of some of your guys, like your older guys, like George Hill, Serge Ibaka. They're ready to go. Giannis is the best player in the league. These guys mean business, and they should be the favorite in the East still. Milwaukee's a contender for sure. Who
All
else
right,
got a team?
I got one for you, and it's a team I'm sure you're pretty familiar with, the Miami Heat.
Oh, this one is hard. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go pretenders. This team is not competing for Jack this year. Pat Riley is snoozing at the helm. I don't know what we were doing this trade deadline. We have not acquired a player in a year and a half since we've gotten Victor Oladipo. Pat is just snoozing. We don't have the roster to compete right now. I really wanted Lowry and Duncan to be traded. I don't think they have any place on this team still. And now all we're hearing about is buyout candidates like John Wall and Russell Westbrook possibly coming. That doesn't really solve our issues. This team is just not quite there yet to compete with the Celtics, the Bucks, and the Sixers this year. So I'm going to say pretenders there, unfortunately.
All right, my team, the Cleveland Cavaliers.
That's interesting because I think they're just outside that top group in the East. I feel like honestly, right now, they're probably the fourth best team in the East. The standings might reflect that. I'll be honest, I haven't looked post or latest updated rankings, but I feel like as the fourth best team in the East, Garland, Mitchell playing great, Mobley and Allen. You're not yet. You're just not contenders just yet. I'm gonna say pretenders. You need a little more depth, and I just got to see a little more development from guys like Mobley, before I say they can really compete with the Bostons and the Milwaukees of the world to get out of the East. That's an interesting team, though. They could prove me wrong. Any others before we finish up? This has been quick, but I do want to get to one or two more.
Yeah, I'll give you one last one for me. The Sacramento Kings.
Oh, that is a fun team. I had bet my money on them 2 days ago. I had the money line to finish off a parlay. And De'Aaron Fox, thank you for hitting all three of your free throws at the buzzer to secure me the win and my payday. But not quite yet. The West is wide open, but still pretenders. Fox and Sabonis, two very interesting pieces. I really like Davion Mitchell. So you got a lot of good role players and whatnot there. But you are a couple pieces away still. So for now, I'm going to say pretenders, but great leap so far this year. They've really made a lot of progress, and I do believe they'll be in the playoffs when it's said and done. All right, any last teams before we move on?
The LA Clippers.
Clippers. I'm going to say contenders, which is weird because they haven't even been to the Western Conference Finals yet, I don't believe. with Kawhi and Paul George and all them, but they made some good moves at the trade deadline. I like getting Eric Gordon in for some shooting. You got Norm Powell playing great. Kawhi, Paul George are obviously still there. Bones Highland, a really under the radar move to get him, but I love that. The West is wide open. You're probably the third best team, probably one of the better ones on paper. So yeah, you should stand a chance to compete in the West. I'm gonna say contenders on those Clippers, even though I don't necessarily trust them.
And I'll give you one last one here.
All right.
The other team from LA, the Lakers.
They're pretenders. They ain't doing nothing. I love them, but you got all these good role players, but you're still at the 13th seed and you're still a good couple games back with 27 to go. Just showing an inability to put wins together, especially when you need them. It feels like there's been a distraction with LeBron's scoring record. Hopefully, now that that's out of the way and you've got a bunch of new pieces in, we can try and move past that and
Also,
start winning games. But
yeah, really quick, like really quick. Do
Mhm.
you have any thoughts on like AD like sitting during him breaking the record? You still that?
He kind of cleared it up. I mean, it's not the best PR look, but I mean, I get it. You're losing a game to the Thunder when the one that you do need to win. They're ahead of you in the standings and not by much. So you do need to win that game. And it just feels like you guys don't even care about the win. I do get it, but you got to show support in that moment, even if you don't truly feel it in at that time because you're just pissed off that they're losing. So yeah, I get it, bad PR look, but he cleared it up, and I don't look too deep into that. But yeah, I like the pieces that they added: good shooting, better defense with guys like Vanderbilt. So I'm interested to see how they finish it out, but I'm gonna say pretenders because you are still the 13th seed, and you still got to work to get to the 10 to even have a chance at making the playoffs. So pretenders for the Lakers, but I'm hoping they prove me wrong because I do root for them.
All right.
But that's it. Yep. If you want to take it away, Michael, for the CFB, but that was a great NBA segment. We'll definitely have a lot more of that coming towards you guys as we move towards the playoffs.
Yes, of course. Before we get to the big game, I did want to for college football. I did want to touch on something a bit more somber. Unfortunately, Caleb Boateng passed away yesterday. The reasons are unknown. Obviously, you know there's rumors and stuff like that, but he was a walk-on at UF. Just really sad news out of Gainesville. Yeah, just I don't know. Hug your loved ones, tell them you love them. You never know, what could happen. So thoughts and our thoughts and prayers are with him and his
Definitely.
family. And yeah, really sad to see. But
That is.
I think with
yeah.
that we can kind of shift over to the biggest football game of the year every year, the Super Bowl. Chiefs Eagles. Let's preview it. Let's get some predictions going. Let's start with you, Sam. What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, this is probably going to be one of the better Super Bowls. I know last year's was pretty good, even if not everyone's a big Rams fan. But Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, obviously, that's pretty big as far as QB attractions go. The two loaded rosters that are just dead even all year. So this should be a fun watch in theory. I'm going to be rooting for the Chiefs personally, but I guess we're all going to do some score predictions. I just don't feel like the Chiefs can pull it off. Too many injuries personally, especially to Patrick Mahomes. Everyone is practicing, thankfully. So other than McCole Hardman, you should have basically a full crew. How well they'll be playing, I don't know. We'll see what Jalen Hurts' health is like, but ultimately, I think the Eagles, that defense is just next level. The pass rush is unreal, even though the Chiefs' O-line is good. But I just don't feel like this one is really going to go the Chiefs' way. I'm going to say 31-21 Eagles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry, I have a very similar prediction. I think the Chiefs will score first, but I don't think they'll be able to sustain the onslaught that the Eagles will eventually rain down on them. Like like Sam said, with the defensive backs and just the overall defensive scheme that the Eagles have. I just don't think Andy Reid's revenge story is gonna happen this year, unfortunately. Maybe over the next few years, but yeah, I see. I think it'll be like a little closer. I think it'll be within 7 points, but I do think the Eagles will win.
yeah, I will say, I'm actually gonna go against you guys and say the Chiefs are my pick to win this game. Steve Spagnuolo, Spags, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, he is an all-time great playoff performer at his role. That Chiefs defense always elevates in the playoffs. You always see them come out with relatively like elite game plans to slow down strong offenses. They make life difficult for you. Chris Jones is on a tear. I think he's playing like the best defensive tackle in the league right now. Chris Jones is on an absolute smoke right now. You have, you have the secondary, the pieces that we've seen them step up. They stepped up against the Bengals in that receiving core. I just think that people are writing off that Chiefs defense and the pedigree of Steve Spagnuolo. I think that he's going to design a great game plan. He's not going to make it as easy as we've seen it in the last few weeks for the Eagles. I mean, the Eagles have looked like they're barely like trying and they're just running through these great teams in the NFC. Definitely not going to be that. I think the Chiefs frustrate the Eagles all day, make Jalen Hurts make one or two key mistakes, and Mahomes takes them to the promised land. I say the Eagles lose to the Chiefs. I'm gonna say 24-38.
Wow. So I'm also gonna go with Vinay and take the Chiefs to win in what is also probably one of the most interesting Super Bowls I've had the memory of looking at. I think this is a super interesting matchup. The AFC super offense heavy, super high pass attack. And then kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. The NFC is a lot more run heavy, big focus on defense. So but I do think the Chiefs get it done. And it's for two main reasons. I think one, you have to look at their most recent matchups. I don't think people are talking about that at all, really. You look at who the Eagles played. They played a Niners team with a fourth string in there, and it was never really a competition, right? And sure, they took care of business. But this Chiefs defense is going to be, and the Chiefs offense is going to be a whole different type of situation for the Eagles. I don't think things are going to come as easily, especially when you're facing someone like Patrick Mahomes, which leads me to my second point. Mahomes has been in this situation before. Hurts has never been on this big of a stage before. And when we have seen him on this big of a stage before, what happened? At Bama, he got subbed out at halftime, right? I think, I'm not sure Hurts is made for this moment. And even if he is, he doesn't have the experience that Mahomes does in these big types of games. I think in this game, I think it still stays close. I think the Eagles are still able to do some stuff offensively. I don't think that, the Chiefs are able to drop 38 on the Eagles, but I do think they still win the game. I didn't even make that prediction until like just before this, just because it's been so hard. People have asked me like, who do you have winning the game? Who are you rooting for? I'm not rooting for anyone. And I think the game is super hard to predict. It really could go either way. It's why the Vegas has a line at like 1.5 right now. But I do think that the Chiefs end up winning. Probably in a very similar score line to what you said, Sam. It's probably flipped, like something like 31-21 ish.
Okay.
You could very easily see something like that. I could also very easily see it being like a one-score game in the fourth quarter with a couple minutes left. So something around those lines is kind of how I see the game going. Definitely one of the more interesting ones that I remember.
So real quick, do we all see this being like a super high-scoring game because we all see like over like 40 points being scored? Like, is that what
I guess so, yeah. Inadvertently.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that the Eagles defense, have an elite secondary, but they're a zone heavy scheme and they also have a suspect around defense. So I think it'll be possible for the Chiefs to run up the score on them.
All right,
Well,
let's get a prediction. Who do you think is
hold
going to
on.
be the first touchdown scorer for each team? Sorry. Sam.
No, you're good. That's a better question.
Yeah. All right. Who do you think is going to be the first touchdown scorer?
Isaiah,
Dude, I was gonna say, yeah, Pacheco. I'm rolling with him for the
Pacheco?
Chiefs.
Pacheco.
I low-key
Pacheco.
think it's going to be Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
It's either Devontae Smith or Pacheco.
I think I'm going to go with maybe Kelce just because the number is like just totally lean his way. It's a touchdown scoring machine, but I would not be surprised if the Eagles like doubled him in like a lot of red zone looks. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. And then on the Eagles, I really like Devontae Smith. But I don't know. We left Miles Sanders out of our whole first touchdown score fiasco in the AFC and NFC championship, like whatever parlays we were doing, and that kind of screwed us. So if it's not Smith, it's going to be Sanders for the Eagles.
Yep. All right. Well, hold on. I got something interesting here because we're pretty evenly split down the line. Rohan and I agreeing once again on the Eagles winning, and Michael and Vinay are over on the Chiefs side. Even though I wouldn't be complaining at all if the Chiefs won. What do we say we put down a little friendly wager or something over here since we're pretty evenly split? Up the
I
stakes
By the
of
way,
this
you
game a
still
little
have to
bit.
do your punishment. By the way, you still have to.
I do. I know. It's coming. It's coming. I've been swamped, but the punishment is coming.
Yeah, no, I'm willing. I'm willing to. If there's a guy I'm betting on, it's gonna be Patrick Mahomes. So I'm willing to ride.
I say we up the stakes of this game a little bit since we're so evenly split here.
All right, what are we thinking?
What do you guys? Are we looking for mega punishments? Are we looking for a money stake? What are we looking for?
If it is money, this is not real gambling. This is fake.
Yeah, no, this is
We're
this is in
gambling with
it's
Monopoly
in
money.
Minecraft. This is Minecraft.
Yeah.
So what are we looking for? Are we looking for a punishment? Are
I
we
think-
looking for a money gamble? What are we doing here in Minecraft?
I
of
think
course?
I think we do some type of punishment, and then we'll
Okay.
actually. I think we should actually get some people in the comments or some of our friends to suggest some stuff because
Yeah, well, yeah. Let's
people in
make
the
sure these
comments
get
kind of been
flooded.
slacking. So we need to see those punishments in there. But
I'll be
Okay,
down.
so
I'll be down.
In Spagnolo, we trust.
and
man.
it's got to be
Keep
bad.
Spagnolo,
So I mean, we got to
please.
really up these. I'm talking like major POV cringe thirst traps on TikTok. Like if
Yeah,
we're
I
gonna
mean,
talk about
we
already-
punishments.
we already did a pretty solid TikTok. If you haven't seen it already, go check it out on our TikTok.
It was good. It's one of our
It's-
best
Yeah,
best
it's pretty
quality videos.
valid. Pretty valid. So yeah.
All right. Well, so we'll definitely get back to this next week when we pick
You
up
guys
as
have
far
to
as
hit the
punishments go.
Jackson Mahomes if you lose. The ultimate.
All right, that should be the punishment. Whoever loses the wager has to hit their Jackson Mahomes.
Okay. All right, I'm
Yeah.
good for that.
All right. Back to NFL football though. If Patrick Mahomes wins this Super Bowl, this game, could we build a GOAT case for him? I mean, obviously not yet, probably, right? But like, it seems like if he wins,
It would
he's
be a
on the
GOAT
path.
trajectory.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Are we all kind of all in agreement on that?
I mean, I would
Yeah.
say yes, but like with the little asterisks, like remember what Vinay said on the last podcast? Like Patrick Mahomes has repeatedly been performing at a high level with the pieces that he's had around him. And
Yeah,
the
but then we
way-
disproved that by remembering that he lost his MVP caliber weapon, and everyone was injured, and he was on one leg. And
I mean, he
did it.
still has Travis Kelce though. Like you can't deny.
Okay,
that.
well, he's missing an ankle in the AFC Championship game against Joe Burrow and a good defense. Like I feel like we already took that point and just kind of moved it to the side because we all remember that Mahomes.
I mean, I don't know, it's
the
still
GOAT.
something to consider. I mean, certainly you
the
can.
GOAT.
You can
Here's
still
here's the thing. Tom Brady, we can't equate what Mahomes did to when Tom Brady made a playoff run with Kembrell Tompkins, Brandon LaFell.
Bill Belichick, a Belichick defense.
No, but that offense and
Josh
what he trained them to
McDaniels.
do to be super high caliber, those weapons like Kembrell Tompkins and Brandon LaFell do not equate to Travis.
Yeah,
Kelce.
like Randy Moss and Wes Welker and Julian Edelman
No,
and
I'm talking
Gronk
about
and Danny
those
Amendola
runs he
and
made
like,
between like the 4th and the 5th Super Bowl where he was rolling with absolute practice squad players that actually are still on the practice squad of teams.
yeah, I mean practice squad players with a Hall of Fame defense.
No, no, but he carried that offense to be one of the
Yeah,
highest.
I guess. Yeah, I mean,
offense.
we'll see. Two Super Bowls in 5 years of starting is absolutely unheard of. Like in your first 5 years, like I don't think we've ever seen anything like that before.
That is true. That is true.
Certainly not by anyone who's
I'm definitely
active.
conceding. Like he's on a GOAT trajectory for sure. Like
He's already in a caliber of no other player that's active. Like he has set himself apart. 2 Super Bowls before any other active quarterback that's close to his level gets one, like the Burrows and all them. That's ridiculous. That is setting yourself so far apart from the competition.
Yeah. Should we get to our last question here?
Yeah.
So Devontae Adams.
Oh well,
recently-
we got to get to our game too. Vinay's got his game
very
on.
true. Very
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
So let's do that because
Bring it
we're
up.
still talking about the Chiefs and the Eagles. So yeah, Vinay, why don't you take away your game? We're another debut.
so basically, like one of the more intriguing parts about the Super Bowl is Jalen Hurts. Like kind of like a meteoric rise this season. So basically, what we're gonna do is we're gonna run a little QB roulette game. You guys give me the quarterback in the NFL. I'll tell you if he's better than Jalen Hurts, worse, why.
Can it
where
be a current or a former quarterback?
No, it's current. It's currently.
yeah.
All right.
Okay. And are you giving like an explanation for each Renee, or are you just like?
Yeah, I'll give you my initial quick thoughts on it.
Let's see
Okay,
if we got any
cool,
hot
cool.
takes here.
All right. I will start with a quarterback that's very similar to the style of Jalen Hurts in Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, okay. So basically this is a hot take, but I think Jalen Hurts is better right now because you think about
Oh,
how many
okay.
playoff victories Lamar has, which is one. Jalen Hurts already has two. We saw a similar kind of season and a meteoric rise out of Lamar when he won the MVP. His team went 14-2. They were the one seed, similar to how this Eagles team has been on a tear this year. And we saw Lamar dwindle in that playoff game and really not be able to show multiple dimensions. Jalen Hurts has still been able to show all the facets of his game throughout this playoff run. He hasn't dwindled in that number one seed. And yes, Lamar does have the MVP, but Hurts was a legitimate MVP candidate this year. Definitely an MVP caliber kind of season that he's had. So right now, especially like up to this point, he's already reached the Super Bowl before Lamar has. And yeah, I just think that right now you have to give him credit for winning the big games. So I'll take Hurts right now.
All right, I'm kind of setting myself up for failure here, but I gotta back my boy, Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen, in my opinion, is better than Jalen
Okay,
Hurts.
okay. I thought you were gonna say your iconic line
Josh
about
Allen was I was gonna ask Josh Allen. That was a good one.
Yeah, I mean he is a go route merchant, but the thing is about Allen is he has elite 1% kind of arm talent. You know, no one else in the league is really gonna. You can name maybe one or two guys that can make the throws that he can make. His athleticism, I think, is really under the radar. He has ridiculous athleticism. You put him into a zone read sort of like QB run heavy scheme instead of just letting him take. Like we see what happens when he takes off and improvises. He makes things happen. And you see how Jalen Hurts has these organized gaps for him to run into. I think Allen makes just as much happen with those kind of openings, and he definitely has a superior arm talent. So I'll go Allen.
So I got a couple more, unless you got one, Sam.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, that is a great one. I was actually anticipating that someone would bring that up. I think that right now I would rate Trevor Lawrence higher. And see, the reason is
Wow,
it
actually.
might, yeah, it might not like line up with my reasoning for Jalen Hurts over Lamar, but I just think that was just a question of two very similar quarterbacks that have had similar sort of ups and downs, and what each quarterback did with their ups and what they've done with their downs. But with Hurts and Trevor Lawrence, I think that Trevor Lawrence has basically had his rookie year this year, under like a completely revitalized coaching scheme. And with those requisite weapons, I think that he is pretty mistake prone. But the thing is, you give him an O line like Jalen Hurts has, I think that he performs spectacularly. I'm just really high on him because of
That's
his
interesting.
like yeah, his fearlessness. So the thing that I rate for Lawrence that's above Hurts is Hurts rarely makes those like really, really dicey throws, like very questionable throws that he kind of wills them to completion. But when it comes to Trevor Lawrence, you see him will throws to completion in big moments. That's a big thing, in my opinion. And the fact that he's won a lot of games from behind, I don't think we can say that quite yet for Hurts. So I definitely take those into account, especially that playoff win. Very impressive. I understand that Hurts over Lamar right now is a hot take, but I think that Lamar needs to prove himself.
I think Lawrence over Hurts is the hotter take. I would have taken Hurts over him right now.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, but some people like just from the sheer superstardom of Lamar, like I'd understand why people would be like, "Oh, no way, like Lamar's different." But the thing is, we've seen how they've performed when they're at similar stages.
I agree with that. I just thought, me personally, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, 4 picks in what, one half of of your first playoff game. I personally would take Jalen Hurts over him. Still, I just feel like he's a little better. But
That's
that's an interesting
right
take.
now, honestly, I agree with you right now. It's just for me, I can't help but look at the trajectory that Lawrence has put in place for him based on this.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, trajectory wise, he's probably better. I just feel like right now Hurts might have the edge.
That's definitely not a hard take.
Yeah,
Michael, what quarterbacks did you have?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you an alley oop here for what probably would have been a very hot take at the beginning of the season, but I think I kind of know what your answer is gonna lie after this. Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott. Yeah, I mean you almost have to fade Dak Prescott at this point, after his performance against the 49ers. You saw both those guys have the same similar opportunities against the same defense. One guy just ran all over them. The other guy kind of folded with his one dimensionality. And so, yeah, I would say that right now Dak really needs to do a lot to rehabilitate his status as an elite quarterback and not just like a serviceable starter. Jalen Hurts definitely has his number already just based on this one run.
Yeah, and then the other one I was gonna say was it'll be interesting, but Geno Smith.
You know, this is closer than people think.
Oh, no, come on.
No, I got to show my respect to Gino. What a season he had. He's really, really precise passer. The argument could be made that he's a better passer than Hurts, but not a better overall quarterback just because Hurts is so much more dynamic. Yeah.
All right, I got one last one for all the white girls. Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow. I'm gonna rate Joe Burrow just because of the fact that he is literally the most precise and probably just he does everything right in the sense of being a quarterback. He makes incredibly precise throws. His anticipation's off the charts. I think when you look at a Jalen Hurts, you just definitely cannot say that he has the poise that Burrow has. He definitely has the athleticism, but you put Jalen Hurts behind that Bengals O-line, you put any top tier quarterback behind the Bengals O-line, I guarantee you they don't look as good as Joe Burrow just because Burrow knows exactly how to get the ball out and exactly how to move the ball with all that pressure and all that stuff in his face. So I give him credit for that.
Yeah. Also, a little fun fact: I was looking at this list of like starting quarterbacks in the NFL, and of the 32 teams, I think only 5 have starters that remain the same from week 1. Absolutely crazy madness happening at the quarterback position. So many changes, and those I think definitely had an outcome on how the season played out. But yeah, I think is that. Oh wait, no, we have one more question for.
We do,
for
yeah.
the NFL
Little Aaron
segment.
Rodgers talk.
Yeah, sure. So recently, Devonta Adams, convinced Rodgers to visit Vegas. Do we think anything of this? Is this kind of just like a whole,
I just
something
think it's
smaller,
hilarious that Aaron Rodgers is currently like in hibernation, like in isolation, kind of contemplating his decision. He's just a funny guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very interesting dude for sure. I don't think.
Yeah, not much to say about that. I think he'll probably end up. I don't know. He's not retiring, so it's a matter of are you going back to Green Bay or are you gonna go? If he does get traded, it feels like it's either Jets, Titans, or Raiders. I don't really know what to make of it right now.
Yeah,
Seems like Raiders are the favorites.
Yeah, Rohan and Sam, we need y'all to bring your NBA guessing of destinations to the NFL. Vinay, I know you are pretty high on him going to the Jets. You think that would be the smartest move for him?
I don't know. He's spending a lot of time in darkness. That might influence his thinking to go towards like a black and silver and black type of team. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the metaphysical links he can make because it seems like he's trying to make some metaphysical connection to a team, to a franchise that'll direct his decision making. So yeah, don't sleep on the isolation room because we'll see if he ends up in those dark colors.
I will say I'm thinking he goes to the Raiders because I saw this TikTok. He was on like a golf tournament or whatever.
The golf course, yeah.
He was on the golf course and hella people were asking him to pull up to the Raiders. So if he's one for the fans, he's gonna go to Vegas the relationship he has with Devontae Adams and hopefully be one of those teams that make the wild card and make the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I just think it's like impossible to predict what's going through Bro's head right now. Like I don't even obviously he has no clue. I don't even know how to begin speculating what he's thinking. So yeah. With that though, we'll make the same corny joke we do every week. You can guarantee it's gonna happen. From one football to another. Rohan, take it away, please.
Thank you for that segue. So some quick news in the world of soccer. First with Manchester City. News has come out that they are being investigated for violating their financial fair play rules, which is hilarious. I've been on their downfall since day one. They signed with the Abu Dhabi government or whatever government they're being backed by. Like it's been inevitable that they're gonna be investigated, and there's potential threats of their titles from like the last few years being stripped away. Um, Not much really to say besides we'll see what happens. Do I think they violated? Probably. They've been spending large sums of money to bring in players over the course of the last few years. Not that many players have left. Now we've seen pretty much only since last season they've been offloading some players and um Raheem Sterling and Zinchenko, and now this year and Hal Cancelo on a loan deal, I might add. So not even for a buyout. So you know, we'll look to see what happens. Will they get a 15-point deduction like Juventus? We'll see what happens. But in other news, speaking of Juventus, the European Super League has been kind of revitalized. For those of you who don't know what the Super League is, it's kind of like another competition like the Champions League, but they're expanding it to include more teams. Basically, it's just a scheme for the rich teams to get richer and for the poor teams to play catch up, like on an uphill battle. Um, I think it's not going to be good for the world of soccer. But Vinay, I know you probably know a little bit more than I do. What do you think?
Well, I think that, Florentino Perez, Real Madrid's chairman, he made an interesting point the other day about how money has already corrupted the game and how basically teams in that upper echelon of spending just have complete domination over the market. And the parity is really
Unless you're Chelsea.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, seeing what a Chelsea can do and seeing how a team in their exact same league, like a Nottingham Forest, could probably never pull something like that off, or they don't have the means. There's definitely a lot of disparity. I think money is definitely dictating the sport to a certain extent, but that doesn't mean I agree with the Super League alternative. That's more so just giving into that whole notion that like there's an upper echelon of elite spending teams. Why don't we just pull them all together and separate them and make that like its own subsidiary? I think that there's still much to be said about fighting against the established financial, wrongdoing and manipulation that we see in the sport now. So, yeah, I think the Super League is a realist kind of take, but it succumbs to kind of what we already see in the sport right now, what we see forming. And I definitely think that it's not the direction that we should probably go in. Probably go just try to address some of the parity issues we see right now.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think what fans are most disappointed in is the fact that we're creating like this upper echelon for higher spending clubs. And if I'm a fan of a Nottingham Forest, I'll be super pissed that like my club is not going to be able to compete with the likes of the top six in the Premier League anymore because they're getting extra, revenue, like extra revenue streams from competing in the Super League. But also, if I'm a player, I'm going to be super pissed if I'm in the Super League team. We see as it is, there's like at least 4 or 5 competitions during the course of a season. Plus, you have the World Cup. Plus, you have um, extra training sessions, etc. We already see players being overworked, and with the addition of another competition, it just goes to show that UEFA and FIFA don't really care about their players. They're just looking to exploit them, exploit the clubs, exploit whatever money they can kind of squeeze from them. So, not a huge proponent of the Super League. Do you actually see this like taking form and actually happening? We saw new proposals including over 80 teams from across Europe. So, Vinay, do you actually see this happening?
I mean, just coming off like what we just saw in January with Chelsea spending 300 million, 600 million, these kind of sums in such a short window of time. I think that there's a possibility that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 20 billion is thrown into this, or like 30 billion, or like 50 billion, 100 billion. I mean, the revenue sharing agreements and everything is actually through the roof with the Super League. It is going to be an absolute cash cow. And, before January, I may have said, oh, these teams are not going to throw like 500 mil into this idea and create the Super League on a whim. But now we've seen teams can do that. Teams can just throw down 500 million, a billion on a whim. And if they do that and they put together this massive pot of like 10, 11, 15, 20 billion dollars, it will happen. Like with that amount of money, something like this does not just kind of stay in the groundwork. It takes off. So yeah, I think unfortunately it's definitely possible.
Honestly, I honestly don't really see it happening. I just think with the with the amount of like negative response that we see from fans, and we also see some negative response from teams who, like for instance, like an Arsenal or a Liverpool who was projected to join the Super League, and because their fans were super pissed off, they pulled out. I think we're gonna see a lot more of that, and I just don't think that the fans teams will kind of allow their teams to join the Super League, and even if they do, fans are probably not going to attend those games. Like we see, like Juventus fans kind of revolting against the 15-point penalty and canceling their subscriptions. I kind of see that response happening for the Super League as well. I think the fans are going to take over and kind of just prevent that from happening. Also, another point I kind of wanted to bring up before we go to the next thing in the soccer segment is if we see like big games that are meant to be only played like once or twice per season happen over the course of the season, it takes away from the prestige of the game, and it kind of takes away from the actual enjoyment of watching soccer. Like if you have like Georgia play Alabama, like the 1 versus 2 seed in the college football world, like every other week, for example, or every year you see that happening, like you will eventually get bored of it, and kind of takes away from the prestige when two powerhouses meet each other. So to that extent, I'm not looking forward to it. If it does happen, I'll be disappointed. But with that, we'll
I had a couple of a quick thought on the Super League. I mean, yeah, like I don't know. I think this whole idea, and I think this my take kind of applies to like multiple sports. I know you made the comparison to college football, but I don't think like a Super League is good for parity at all in any sport. Because when you have a Super League with all like the super elite teams at the top, and then the smaller, less funded teams at the bottom, it creates like an endless cycle of just all the games you really are going to care about are the top teams, right? Like if we really are going to want to watch, if you are a true football fan, you're obviously going to still watch like those lower seeded teams play. But for the average fan who doesn't have maybe the time to watch all the games, they're gonna use like their time to only watch the best of the best games, right? And that's just gonna completely destroy, I think, not only like the nature of the game and like and the beauty of it, but also like for these teams, I think they're gonna lose a lot more funding because if you're in some of these smaller leagues, and you're a fan of these teams, other fans of smaller teams that are also in the league are gonna watch your games because it has an impact on their outcome in the league. But if you're already assuming that you're not going to have any shot at winning, a big title, then there's no point in that person watching that team anymore. I think that'll really hurt the funding of those teams and just make it even worse. I think that would just like I guess like amplify and like ignite like the economic disparities between the teams and just make it even less fair.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, let me just put one thing out there for the viewers, before we move on from this topic. So Man City's revenue stream for 2021-22, you have 300 million for broadcasting, 400 million for commercial, and 64 million for match day. So the question is that match day revenue even, do teams even care about that? 64 mil out of like 800, 900 mil. So interesting to think about.
Yeah. And with that, we're kind of transitioning over to our next thing for the soccer segment. Try something new to kind of get everyone involved. I've found this little game online. It's kind of like Wordle, but not really. All right, so welcome to our new soccer segment. Part of our soccer segment where I found this little website. I thought it'd be kind of fun. It's Guess the Football Club, kind of like Wordle. You start off with like a random team, and it'll tell you whether they're in the right league, whether they're whether they're recently established or like a historic club, how far like they are away. You'll kind of get the idea the more we play it. So do we want to play?
Best of three? Me and Michael versus you and Rohan? I mean, you and Vinay?
Oh, dude, we don't have a shot, Sam. What are you doing, Gordon?
We got this.
All right, so Vinay and I are on a team?
Why are we doing this? This is terrible.
You and Vinay against me and Michael, best out of three.
All right, I'm down.
All right, if we're going to stack the teams like this, let's put a punishment on the line for Rohan and I if we lose.
Okay, sure.
Exactly.
We'll do one TikTok dance if we lose.
We like to talk a lot.
No, it's got to be something different. It's going to be something different than a TikTok dance.
Yeah.
Well, we get to decide. How about that?
Yeah, we get to decide what your punishment is.
All right, let's run it. Let's run it.
All right, bad. All right, Sam
Best
and
out of
Michael,
three.
y'all go first.
Wait, for the record,
Okay.
are we allowed to like use the internet at all?
No,
No, no.
Bro, we're not gonna have a chance.
We got
bro.
this. We got this. We got this. We got this.
nope, no internet.
All right. Okay, fine,
Alright,
fine, go for it.
All right, you
All right,
take
guess
the first
one.
guess.
Let's do a team that probably I don't know. Let's pick like Real Madrid or something.
Okay, Real Madrid.
Also, we have our special guest who will be joining us shortly. Jonah, what's up, man?
Hey guys, happy to be a
All
part
right,
of the
cool.
show
We
today.
got nothing right. Okay, cool.
All right, yeah. So as
Um,
you can see, it's not in the Spanish league. It's established in 1902 or later. The capacity is their stadium capacity, so you can see if they're a big or small club. Also, the direction is important. So geographically,
So it's down. Is that what it's
it's
saying?
so-
south. It's south. What is that? West by
guess so,
10,050
yeah.
kilometers.
Wait. Okay, so this means that our team is younger, is established more recently, and
Right.
it's smaller, right?
Yeah, and it's southeast or southwest of
South
By
East.
10,000 kilometers.
South.
Okay, I'm
southwest.
thinking this is a South American team.
Oh,
Maybe
Africa.
there-
Maybe Africa. I don't really
yeah.
know.
Are
my
there
kilometers.
national teams?
No, no national teams. This is the club, football club.
Clubs,
Mhm.
clubs.
What's 10,000 kilometers? Can someone put that in U.S. measurements for me, please?
It's far away. It's far away.
Far. Dude, why? I don't know like any.
Could it be
South
American?
American.
Is it that far?
Yeah, it could be
Looking at
American.
North
Right.
It could be.
Let's try a good
America.
old like.
Inter Miami.
We could do that, or like an FC Dallas or something. Let's do Inter Miami. Screw it.
Yeah, Inter Miami.
Hometown.
Like, they don't have internet.
Okay, let's do. Can we do FC Dallas?
Yeah, do FC Dallas.
They don't have FC Dallas.
Bruh.
Oh, dude.
Orlando.
you're Dallas,
Orlando
Dallas.
SC.
Yeah,
Oh,
Dallas.
Dallas.
okay.
Wait. If you just typed in Miami, then it was probably.
Whatever.
All right, so it's not in the American League. It is a little bit older than 96. It's a higher capacity, and it
And
is
southwest.
southwest by 8,000 kilometers.
Okay.
Okay, what's eight? What's
I think
8,000
this is like pointing to like an African team, right?
Can you
like-
name any African teams?
And I can't name any like African.
All right,
clubs.
it's
This is
probably
like,
not an African team. I'll help you out.
Bro, there are no like. I'm pretty sure if you search up an African team, it's not in their data.
Can you name any South American teams?
Michael, you can.
Think of a pink bird.
dude.
The
I don't know
flamingos?
soccer
I
that
don't-
well, dude.
the
I don't
flamingos?
follow it that well at all.
All right, I heard Flamingo.
Oh.
Should I just lock this in for you?
Yeah. Just
like
log
that,
it. Yeah. Let's see if we're even in South America.
Okay.
I'm
So
southeast of.
2,000 kilometers. We're getting there.
Or
Okay,
south
so
of-
maybe this is more like a.
It's like Chile
Peruvian
or
team or-
yeah.
I don't know any teams on that coast, man. I'm not gonna.
All right,
lie.
I'll give you access to
neither.
internet. This is a little harder. Here,
Dude,
if
think-
you want,
Okay, yeah.
Think
We
of
can-
a very menacing rapper that
Wait, do you guys see the answer?
At
Ron, do you see
Kirby.
what the answer is? Or are we
I
just
know.
trying
I
to
don't know what the
guess?
answer is, so that's why
Okay.
I can reveal a clue also if you're interested.
No. I'm showing.
Yeah, think of a menacing rapper, like Vinay said.
NBA.
Man,
Okay.
Yeah, you're
Sporting
talking about, like, Young
Crystal. Sporting Crystal.
All right,
Bro,
Oh,
sport.
that sounds like a meth
is it the
lab,
Young
not a
Boys?
team.
Isn't that a team? Young Boys or
Yeah, Young Boys. Young Boys is in Switzerland.
Oh, fuck.
yeah, I was gonna say that
Fuck,
feels
I
good,
forgot. I got it confused with the junior team.
Can we do Sporting Crystal?
Yeah, Sporting.
wait, why are we doing that?
Because it's in Peru.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure thing.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, 2,000 kilometers.
So this has to be like Argentina or
South-
fucking Antarctica.
Antarctica.
Yeah, you can use the internet. Use the internet. I think I have a feeling what this is.
Okay, let me just.
I'm gonna text the name what I think it is, so I have this on the record.
Yeah,
Well,
Watch
this is
them-
definitely.
Watch, they're gonna get like PSG. It's gonna be a setup for failure.
Okay,
Racing.
let's see. How about let's send Boca Juniors.
Yeah, let's send Boca
Oh,
Juniors.
that's a good one. That's a good one.
This is what I got confused with young boys because juniors and like I forgot this is,
Okay,
so I was right,
last
it was
guess.
Argentina.
It's in the Argentinian league.
Oh,
Here, use all the other metrics. It's 282 kilometers away.
Wait, so this team was formed between 1905 and 1902. That really narrows it down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
true,
good.
true.
That's good.
just look up like the top teams in Argentina or something.
Yeah, that's what I did. Okay.
I'll trust your judgment, Michael.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Big Five. Big Five. Let's see. It can't be Club Atletico River Plate. That was founded in 1901. Club Atletico Independiente. Let's see. 1905, but January 1st of 1905. Okay, it could be this one. Club Atletico Independiente. Can you like look that up real quick?
Wait, what is it?
Which one?
Ooh, okay. It's either Racing Club or Club Independiente.
I don't know. Racing has a cooler name.
Racing Club, low key. Racing Club, low key.
Lock it in.
Should we hedge it all on Racing Club?
Dude, I'm about that.
All
that.
right, hedge it all on Racing Club.
Oh damn!
Oh, what was
Old boys, bro. Oh, so
Old
it's the
boys.
opposite of young boys. Okay, whatever, dude. Whatever.
Watch, they're gonna get Manchester United.
All right.
It's a bad beat. All right, y'all can't use internet. I'm sorry.
All right,
Yeah,
all right. Vinay, what do you want to start off with?
Bro, that's like on his.
Let's go. Should we go like a team in Europe, like Liverpool or something?
No, I think let's start with not with England. Let's start with something like in the main continent of Europe, like something central, like Germany. Like, should we start with Bayern?
No, go with like Bayern. Yeah, I guess.
Oh,
okay.
This is hella
Off to a good
far.
start.
This is
We have to
hella
do it.
far.
We have to do a tiebreaker if you don't get it.
Oh, it's probably South America again.
Yeah. Okay. Should we go with like
Go River Plate or something.
Go Racing.
All right, River Plate. Okay, it's
Nope.
close. It's in Argentina.
No, it's not. It says it's not Argentina.
Oh no, it's okay. Yeah, that's facts. Okay, so wait, what's to the left?
It's
of
Chile.
Argentina?
It's Chile.
Chile. Damn, bro, I cannot do this without like.
I don't know any Chilean teams.
Yeah.
Do like
we got
FC Chile or something.
Dang.
fake Chile fans. Wait, if you look up Chile, does it show the teams there?
No.
Oh, dude, y'all are kind of screwed, huh?
This sucks.
What about like East Boys or something? I don't know. They
East
like
Boys?
name teams like about boys.
Boys. Sport boys? Is that
Oh
Chile?
yeah, that's Chile. No, is that the Chile?
That's Peru, I think.
That's Peru.
I
right,
would
what
send
else?
that if I were you.
Do like racing or something, or like it's only. Let's just look up keywords and see if we find a random like the Chilean flag.
I don't even know what that looks like. Sorry.
Maybe, like-
Should
Oh,
we let
bro,
them use
what's
internet,
like
Michael?
a city in Chile? What's a city in Chile?
Oh, dude, I used to know all the capitals of South America.
Dude,
I
Machu
know,
Picchu, bro.
I know,
FC
dude.
Machu Picchu.
Maybe the Andes Mountains FC.
Maccabi Haifa?
Andes Mountains.
No.
Bro, we can't even get like we can't even. Wait. I saw the Chilean flag. What'd you just type?
Andes?
No, there.
Oh, yeah.
Antofagasta.
Okay,
Oh
it's
my
in Chile. It's in Chile.
It's in Chile.
God damn it, bro. All right. Just type in random letters. See if we get a Chilean flag.
Okay, this
Union. Okay, yeah, run it.
97.
Wow.
All right, run it again. Random combination of letters. All right. City, I'll take it. Let's run that one.
Because-
No,
Oh.
we're 15
Did-
kilometers. We're 15 kilometers.
Bro, what the hell? Like,
Yeah,
Alright,
one more
hold on.
guess. One more guess.
what the hell?
So it's like a weird combination of letters. Oh,
Just do,
Colo.
Colo, hit it. Hammer that shit.
Oh,
let's go.
no!
Let's go, Colo, let's go.
Wow, dude, that's crazy.
Dude,
I was hoping,
wow.
dude, because oh my god,
That's
Wow.
so
Let's go.
We're
that's
cracked.
insane. All right, are we running it back? Let's do all four of us on one last.
All right,
one.
yeah.
Okay.
But no, let's get Jonah into two. Jonah, give us a team, yeah? Any team in the world.
Dude, I don't know anything about soccer. I
Yeah,
don't.
from what you know, you watch
one
the
initial
best.
guess. Any team.
Okay, Juve.
All right, you.
Uh,
All right. So it's in
Oh,
in
it's close.
Europe.
It's close.
I think
It's
it's
right next to Italy.
a Spanish or Portuguese team.
Yeah, do
Barca.
I don't. Wait. Are we serious about that?
Well, we each get one guess. There's what, 5 of us, so each of us do one guess, and someone gets 2.
I
Yeah.
don't think.
I mean, look at the distance and the direction. Italy is to the right of Spain and Portugal.
Yes,
Could
but
be a
it's not
Greek-
7,000 kilometers away.
what about like a Greek, like Olympia?
Mykonos.
No,
All right,
I think
but Greece is to like the bottom right of Italy.
this is a U. This is in North America. So
Like how much is 7
It's
K
like-
kilometers?
it's
That's like a
it's
lot, right?
it's like North. Yeah, it's like North.
Yeah, it's probably like
America.
North America then.
All right,
Yeah.
Michael. It's AR. Michael, give us your guess. mean,
Give me
Northeast.
LA.
I think it's okay. Yeah, LA. Let's see. LA Galaxy.
That might be too
LAFC.
far actually. Do LA Galaxy. Sure. Let's just see if it's in the US.
Yeah, this don't clown me for this, but
Okay,
FC
this
stands
is
for like
US.
football club, right?
FC is football club.
Okay.
Okay, so it's to the
That might
east.
be a good time for that FC Dallas save.
Nashville.
Wait. Look at Miami.
Oh, true. But I
Miami.
feel like Miami would be like south.
They don't even have it in here.
Orlando.
Yeah, Orlando City.
Yeah.
Orlando Pirates.
No.
Shout out Orlando Pirates.
Okay.
All right, so it's on the. I think it's on
It's
the.
like
east.
Nashville,
New England
Nashville,
Revolution.
Nashville. It's gotta be Nashville.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hit the New England Revolution.
New England.
Yeah.
Okay.
Damn.
So it's a like Midwestern team.
The New York team, New York FC.
No.
No. I
Like Ohio, maybe? Nah. Like
maybe
Cincinnati.
Kansas. Sporting Kansas.
No.
Oh, true.
May,
No, it's down. No, it's 2 down. It's too far down.
I think
Is
it could be.
Is it like a Michigan or something? Maybe.
I think it could be. I think it could be Kansas. That lines up. But
Kansas, like I think the location sounds right.
yeah.
Damn, you can't spell Kansas, bro.
Send it.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
It's close. It's
Or
close.
it's like
Oh.
Michigan, maybe.
That's what
That's
it's
our
called.
last guess.
what-
It's our last guess.
What's the team in Chicago?
Fire.
I think it's just Chicago.
Fire?
Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah. Try
Okay,
that.
is-
Try that.
I like
there a
Chicago
team-
more than Michigan, I think.
All right. Should I lock it in?
Yeah. Lock it in.
All right.
Boom.
Come on, boys. All
There
right.
we
That
go.
was pretty fire.
All right. Yeah.
I like that game.
Yeah.
All right, that's a wrap for that.
Well, thank you for that, Rohan. That was sick. That was pretty sick. Maybe next time we'll get like an easier one because, dang,
Use
can
the-
you name like any Chilean teams? I could not. But we got Jonah on the pod.
Finally.
Like we said, yeah. I mean, we
Yeah,
did
finally.
have him on before. He had some great analysis, but like we said,
It mysteriously
Rohan-
disappeared.
Yeah. We didn't really press the record button. That's not even all on you, Rohan. It kind of falls on all of us. I think you've been getting way too much of the blame for that. But Jonah,
Yeah.
drop some UFC knowledge on us. Drop some some
Yeah,
insights
I
and
got
hot
you guys.
takes.
So there's a huge UFC bout coming up tomorrow, UFC 284. I don't actually know what time it is because it's in Perth, Australia, so it might be the time might be a little bit different. But expect it like during the day towards the nighttime. And this is a huge, huge bout in my opinion, but it hasn't been given that much light by the UFC because they're doing all this like slap fighting stuff that I think is kind of stupid, but that's just my opinion. And so yeah, basically the main event is Alexander Volkanovski, who's currently the pound for pound #1 in the entire world in UFC, which is known to be the best of the best, facing off one weight class above featherweight in the lightweight division against Islam Makhachev, currently #2 pound for pound. So this is like the matchup that everyone could ever hope for. It's something that I don't know why it hasn't been given enough attention, but this is insane because if Volkanovski wins, it'd just be crazy. But I'll get to that later. I'll make that the last thing I'll talk about. So the way these events usually work is that there's early prelims, there's prelims, and then there's a main card. Early prelim and prelim are usually free to watch on ESPN Plus or something like that, and then the main card is a pay-per-view. So what I'll do is I'm not going to really talk too much about early prelims. I have nothing really to say there, but I'll give two like prelim highlights of fights to look out for because they could be kind of interesting, and then I'll go really quickly through the main card. So in the prelims, right, we have one highlight that I want to make, which is a lightweight bout. It's Jamie Malarkey versus Francisco Prado. I don't know, but essentially this matchup is just going to be interesting because there should be a knockout. So what we know so far is like Jamie Malarkey has proven in the past he's a pretty tough fighter. He got knocked around in his last fight and he still won. And he was kind of getting beat up a lot, but it's not something where he took a lot of damage and wasn't doing well at the beginning. He was still fighting well and he just continued to fight well. He's a tough guy. And the thing is about this though, that Prado is 20 and he's a guy that finishes fights. And so like the first round is going to be really, really tough for both of them because Prado, I apologize if I'm messing that up, but he will be looking for that finish. He has finished a lot of his fights in the past in the first round, and what we're going to see is a crazy first round where this guy's just looking for the finish, trying to knock him out. But I think that the way this fight is going to go is he's not going to be able to do it. I think Jamie Malarkey is going to get past, be resilient and get past that. And because of this, Prado is going to fall apart, and Jamie's going to like slowly just turn the tides. And I'm predicting a third round knockout. Same way he did it to his last opponent, just with knees. He's just going to knee him and get him down on the floor and just beat him up. So that's my first prediction of a knockout. And then the second fight that I want to highlight is a light heavyweight bout between Tyson Pedro and Modestas Bukauskas. Sorry if I messed that up too. Some of these names are just impossible.
Yeah, some weird names.
I know. But yeah, so Tyson Pedro is he's an Australian fighter, and his last fight he got a first round knockout. He's been looking incredibly good recently. And also this fight was taken on short notice by the other guy, Bukauskas. So like I'm predicting a Tyson Pedro knockout. We've also seen that in this guy's like Bukauskas' last fight, he was getting beat up. I mean, he won the fight, but we saw the other guy basically knocking the crap out of his legs, and he wasn't taking it too well, but he still won by decision, I'm pretty sure. And Tyson Pedro won his last fight using kicks. He got a front kick. He kicked the other guy really hard in the front of his body. The guy couldn't take it and fell on the ground and just got beat up. So I think this is very, very clear. Just Tyson Pedro is going to go in there, do what he's got to do, and get a KO right away. And I don't think it'll be that close, if anything.
And what do you think will be the method of the KO, if you had to guess?
If I had to guess, he's going to batter his legs and basically, do what has been proven to work against him in the past. Just take out his legs, and then once the legs are everything in UFC fight. We saw that with Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. Adesanya's legs were just taken away from him in the first round, and that eventually led to him getting KO'd. So if you take out someone's legs, it's not very good for the rest of the fight. Pedro, all he has to do is take away his legs, and then just start to piece him up. I think it'll end with maybe some sort of kick. The other guy ends up on the ground and ground and pound again. Like he's done it in the past. It'll probably happen again, honestly. But yeah, I guess so. Before I get to the main event, so we actually discussed this last time, but I thought it was an interesting discussion. I want to pose this question to you guys. How much money would it take for you to get knocked out by a UFC fighter?
I would say at least like a mil. Like at least. I'd say that's pretty reasonable.
Is
You're
this like
telling-
a knockout or a submission?
A knockout. Like one punch to the face, you're out. Lights out.
Could it be like a kick to the face?
Ah,
Yeah.
no.
I think the method of knockout definitely alters.
It's a right hook.
Really?
Oh, a right
No,
hook.
Yeah. Let's do right hook
It's gotta
to
be
your
like
jaw.
a
Then.
kick to the temple. I'm not trying to get my jaw broke. I'm just trying to get a nice.
Alright,
Okay,
alright, no,
let's say
well,
no damage. No damage.
Under the
It's
assumption that
just
you
a
wake
right
up
hook.
perfectly
Right
fine.
hook to your temple. The right hook to your temple, you're out. The only thing that happens is you get knocked out. Like maybe it hurts after too. You're bruised, but just one hit.
I'll take like 10K.
Yeah, I'll do
My
it for,
college
like,
tuition.
Yeah, low
Yeah, we
key.
can
Yeah,
have a
I'll
K.
just bill them whatever expenses I have during college.
Yeah. Assuming no damage. Yeah, I mean, like it'd suck in the moment, but like,
Yeah.
it's 10K. 10K.
I want like a $50 a month for like 10 years.
$50 a month.
That's passive income right there.
How much interest are you accruing on that annuity?
I don't know. You tell me.
All right, let's
It's,
not
it's a
let's not
future
talk about
value.
it actually.
Yeah, so like a big thing about the UFC is that, it's actually a safer sport than boxing, which you wouldn't expect. And the reason for that is actually a reason that you also wouldn't expect, which is that, in boxing, when you get hit and you're dazed and you're basically knocked out and you fall on the ground, the ref does not let the fight continue at that point. The ref lets you have a standing, like he has a 10 count. You have the chance to get back up and then keep fighting. And a lot of fighters do that. They get back up and they keep fighting. And that is way, way worse for you because it just causes more damage to be done to you where it's really, really bad for your brain. And that's why you see like a lot of boxers having CTE later in life. But in the UFC, when you get knocked down, nothing happens. The fight's still going until the ref sees that you're either like unconscious or can't protect yourself like intelligently. So it's actually a lot safer because of that. Like once you're out, and that's just one hit, and that's it. That's all it actually takes. Yeah, I'd probably do it for like maybe, probably 5 to 10K somewhere in there.
Is this like a known like fact? Like, is this like objectively true that the UFC is like much safer? Because intuitively, I don't know if that makes a lot of sense to me. Like, I know guys they get dazed pretty hard. They get whacked and then they're on the ground and they get hammer fisted like a few times. Like, I don't know how that is that fares against a boxing punch to the face. And I get like you got you got to stand back up and stuff like that. But like, I don't know. It's just so hard for me to imagine that an open fist like is going to be less damaging. I don't know.
That's why I find it really interesting because if you actually look at the statistics, there hasn't been an actual death in UFC due to like getting knocked out or hit too hard or anything in like ever. All the only deaths in the UFC have been due to like medical issues with like cutting weight, which happens in boxing too, and from like freak accidents that happen after the fact, like that also have to do kind of with the weight cuts too, where they go into a fight where they shouldn't have because they're not like they're up to like the actual standard they should be, and then later they have heart problems. But it's mainly due to weight cutting, whereas boxing, yeah, the CTE is huge. Like it's really, really bad for you, and yeah, like it in UFC it does look much worse because it's less of a difference between like a boxing glove and a UFC glove. I'm not sure how many ounces.
Like also like a lot more blood too, which probably.
Yeah, which again, like graphically, it makes it look way worse, but it's statistically not, and it's better long term for the fighter's health too.
Could it also, could the statistics be skewed in the UFC's favor because UFC is a younger sport?
I don't think so because I mean the UFC's been around for like 20 something years now, And like even in those 20 something years, there has been no serious like injuries of that matter. And the fighters, like fighter health is a huge thing, and a bigger, like it's growing now too, as we get more and more aware of what's going on. But in all of boxing history, it's been a consistent, like there's been a lot of brain damage like CTE and stuff like that. And there have been accidents in the ring too where it's something bad will happen too. So I don't know. I'd say it's marginally more safe. Maybe not more safe, but it's definitely a safer sport. But yeah, I'm gonna continue with onto the main event now because I don't want to take too much time away from you guys. But yeah. So the main card is 5 fights. And I'll just kind of go from the first fight to the last fight, the last one being the main event. So the first fight of the main card is a light heavyweight bout. It's at 205 pounds. It's Jimmy Crute versus Alonzo Menifield. Now, I don't have too much to say on this. There's no real big names until you get to like the third to last, second to last in the main event. But this fight's going to be somewhat interesting. So I think this is the upset of the night, in my opinion. I think so. A lot of people see Jimmy Crute and think that he is going to go out there and out wrestle Menifield. He's really good on the ground. He's really good at grappling. But what I see is that Alonzo Menifield isn't that good, but he's extremely dangerous, which is a problem. He's dangerous on the feet, and he's also pretty large. So like this is light heavyweight, 205 pounds. They're going in there maybe around 225. And it's going to be hard to wrestle for Crute. So I think that, this guy, Alonzo, has some good momentum. I mean, I say he's gotten kind of lucky. He has 2 KO wins in the first round, but I think he has confidence. And although Jimmy's really, really good at grappling, and, he beat the likes of Paul Craig, who I talked about on the one that did not get actually recorded, but he's known to be really good at grappling, and he out-grappled Paul Craig. But I think he's been getting too confident lately in his striking. And we've seen against, Jamal Hill, who just won the light heavyweight title and who beat the absolute living like crap out of him. When he gets too confident in his striking, he loses. And, he's been out for 14 months. He hasn't fought that recently. And, if he doesn't shoot takedowns immediately and he doesn't start trying to out wrestle and out grapple Menifield, he's just going to lose. He's going to get knocked out. So I think that he's going to go into it with this confidence and try to strike with Menifield, and I don't think it's going to work well for him. So I think that it's going to be an upset, and Jimmy Crute's going to win. On to the next fight. So this one, I have really not that much to say. It's a heavyweight fight. This is 265 pounds. They have to weigh in that, but they could be anything above that up to like 280 maybe, not 300, but cute big guys basically. At that point, it doesn't really matter. And I think this one's pretty simple. So they're both fat, but Justin Tafa or whatever, he's a different type of fat. Like you've ever seen Derek Lewis or like Tai Tuivasa? They're fat, but when they hit you, that's powerful. They use their fat for power. And this other guy that he's fighting, Porter, he's fat, but he's just plain fat. Like I don't think it's going to be that close. I think he'll probably catch Porter with like a head kick or something. He had a KO last fight with a head kick and got a KO. I think it's going to end the same way. And one more factor is that Porter isn't really good, hasn't ever really been that good, and he's 37 years old, so he's taken a lot of damage over the years. Whereas Justin Tafa, he's like 20 something, a much younger fighter. Usually the younger fighter wins in these types of situations. So, I think it's pretty straightforward. Justin Tafa, KO. Okay, this next fight is a welterweight fight. It's at 170 pounds. And this is a really, really interesting fight because it has Jack Della Maddalena versus Randy Brown. Now, Randy Brown has been around for a decent amount of time, but Jack Della Maddalena is a prospect, and I would say this is one of the prospects, other than maybe Khamzat Chimaev, that I have the most confidence in. He will be a UFC champion someday. Like I think he will genuinely. He's just so skillful. So I'm gonna take him in this fight. I think it's gonna be maybe a little bit close. Randy Brown can be a little bit difficult. He's decent at wrestling. Maybe he'll get some takedowns or something like that. But Jack is one of the best boxers I've seen in the UFC so far. Think like Max Holloway level. like this guy is crazy, and he's just so disciplined. He's so fundamentally sound, and like he's a monster prospect. This guy's gonna go places. I think first round KO. His last few fights have been first round KOs. I think he's just gonna continue doing that, continue the momentum, and just like knock this guy out. Yeah, I think this is a very, very clear one. I think that the odds are like -300 something too on the money line. So yeah, I think that one's pretty clear. Okay. Now we have the second to last fight, and this is interesting because this fight is between Yair Rodriguez and Josh Emmett. It's featherweight, 145 pounds, and this is for the interim championship. And why is it interim, you might ask? Well, that's because the champion currently is Alexander Volkanovski, and he's fighting in the main event to have 2 belts at one time. And he's fighting for the lightweight belt, but he's right now featherweight champion. And honestly, I think no matter who wins this fight, Yair Rodriguez or Josh Emmett, they are going to fight Alex Volkanovski next, no matter who wins in the Volk's fight. And I think Volk's going to win the fight no matter what happens. Volk has just proven to be the GOAT, like at featherweight right now. He's making a case for himself very clearly. And these two people are really good, but yeah, if it comes down to it, he's winning. But for this fight specifically, it's a really even matchup. Honestly, they did a really, really good job at this. So Yair Rodriguez is really, really like he has a slick style of striking. He's got like it's not the most conventional. He's really good at kicking, elbows, that sort of thing. And if I'd recommend go watch him versus the Korean Zombie. I know it's a long fight, but watch the whole thing because it is one of the most clutch knockouts I've seen of all time. Like I'm talking last second possible. He's losing the fight arguably, and he knocks him out in the last possible second. You have to go watch it, and it's a crazy knockout too. So just write that down. Yair Rodriguez versus Korean Zombie. Now, along with this,
Definitely watch that.
100%, dude. It's actually ridiculous, like the timing. You go like, holy crap. And it's reminiscent of like Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards, like kind of close to that. But even like this is like last second. Yeah, so he's fighting Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett, like he's powerful, he's decent at boxing. But honestly, his last fight against Calvin Kattar, he lost that. Like it was a split decision. I think it was pretty obvious to me that he didn't win, but they gave it to him. Then his fight before that, I don't think he won that either against like Dan Ige. So I don't know. I don't think he's that good, but I think like he is good enough to be in the top like 5 in the division, and I think he does have a shot at winning, like a decent shot. This fight's going to be interesting because Yair is not trying to get up close and personal. He's trying to be at a distance, kick him around. And all Josh Emmett's way, like path to victory, is get up in his face and just start boxing and just try his best to like get in there. And so I can see either person winning. I think I'll take Yair Rodriguez by decision, but I could easily see a KO, some sort of like head kick or something like that. He's really good at striking. Like it's crazy. And like he lost to Max Holloway, but he was beating up Max Holloway so much that Max Holloway, who, he's like a boxer, like, him for, I'm the best boxer in the UFC. He was shooting takedowns in the 3rd round because he didn't want to stand up. He was just trying to ride out a decision at that point. And then his last fight, it was kind of questionable because he fought Brian Ortega and he lost, due to injury during the fight. But he was piecing him up. Like it was, I don't know. I thought he would just beat him up anyway. So I'll take Yair Rodriguez by decision, but not too confident in that. Like it could be a knockout. All right. It's time for the main event. Alexander Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev at 155 pounds in the lightweight division. This is going to be crazy if Volkanovski wins, right? So I'll preface this by saying Volkanovski, said before, he's in the featherweight. He's 145 pounds. He's been bulking up. He's looking like an absolute brick right now. He's pretty short too. So, he's chasing history. And he's currently pound for pound #1 fighter, and a win would make him like the absolute GOAT in my opinion. And, maybe a couple of defenses would just cement him there, but dude is already doing a lot right now. And man, he chose a very, very difficult challenge. If he should have honestly waited to fight someone else for the lightweight belt, even though that probably won't happen anytime soon because it's Islam Makhachev. But this is a really tough matchup for him. I just don't like. I really want to see him win. I really respect him. He's a really respectable guy, but he doesn't have. Let's just say like he doesn't have as many ways to win that Islam Makhachev does. I could see him maybe like catching Islam with an uppercut or something like that when Islam's going for a takedown. But I think Islam's too slick and it just would be too risky. And yeah, so you didn't know, Islam Makhachev has been talked about for a long, long time, as being the successor to Khabib. And you guys have heard of Khabib, right? Right.
Yeah.
Like Khabib is, one of the best grapplers to ever do it in the UFC, one of the most dominant fighters in the UFC. He was Islam Makhachev's coach. He's actually not the coach for this fight. He's not Islam Makhachev's coach anymore, but I don't think it'll matter. Islam Makhachev has grown up, same trainer. Khabib's dad was, has been grappling since he was like really, really little. Dude is so dominant at grappling. He's so dominant in his fights. I don't think it's going to be close. And to top it off, he has like a southpaw stance. So, like with when you commonly see grapplers in the UFC, a lot of them will take a southpaw stance, even if that's not how they usually fight, just because it gives you an advantage grappling because you're closer to that inside leg. So it means that you can shoot takedowns much easier because you're closer and you can just run in there and get it. And so I think that the fight's going to play out in that, like, essentially he's just going to shoot takedowns the whole time. I think Volk's a brick, man. He's going to be hard to take down, but like it's not like he's just going to keep doing it. Islam's just too resilient. They're both super, like, they're freak athletes in terms of like stamina. So it might go to like round 3 or 4, but I think it's not going to matter. He's just going to keep taking Volk down. He knows Volk's build. He's been preparing for Volk's build. Volk is literally like I keep saying he's a brick, but like if you look at him, he looks like a brick. He's so short and so like stocky and just all compact. So all like 155 to whatever pounds is just all muscle. I just don't think it matters. Like the only way I could see anything bad happening is if Islam tries to strike more, because people have been saying he's underrated at striking. But I'm going Makhachev submission round 3 or 4. That's what I gotta say. And listen, Volk will still be up there and still be talked about. He'll probably try again if he loses. But he will stay featherweight champion for a while, I've got to say. But yeah, that's what I got to go with. Yeah. So that's all I got for UFC. I have some best bets if you want to do that segment.
Yeah. Start us off.
Sure. So best bets for this. I have the first one at plus 165, Josh Calabao versus Bagdasarian. I think it's just going to go to the distance. So plus 165, they'll go the distance. I think, they're both like kind of equal fighters. I don't think it's going to be too exciting of a fight. No KOs or anything. But that leads me to my second bet, plus 155. So I was talking about this before, but Alonzo Menafield will KO Jimmy Crute. And I couldn't find a KO like line, but if you can do that, take that. If you can't, take the money line instead. So the money line is plus 155, still pretty good. And then the third one, I'm going to take minus 130, Justin Tafa money line. He's a Samoan. He's the guy I was talking about. He's fat, but he uses the fat in a way that's like powerful. I think he gets it done. Yeah.
Speaking of fat, let's make our wallets fat and transition into our best bets segment. So if we want to go one by one, just list off your best bets this week. We'll start with Rohan.
All right, time to make our wallets fat, like Vinay said. So wait, honestly, I kind of screwed up on my best bets for last week. They're still waiting to hit. Both the games are tomorrow, so we'll wait on that. But for next week is Champions League. Be on the lookout for a mini episode from Vinay and I, where we're gonna be dropping it on our YouTube channel at some point before the 14th. So be on the lookout for that. But for my predictions for the games, these are all on the Champions League games. I got the Real Madrid money line versus Liverpool at plus 205. This is for the game on February 21st. The fact that Real Madrid are underdogs in this game is an absolute sham by Vegas. Definitely take this right now. This before the lines change. Real Madrid are definitely going to be winning that game. That's my lock of the week. My next game is Dortmund money line versus Chelsea plus 145. Chelsea are in shambles. Jude Bellingham is basically just going to take over the game and will lead Dortmund to victory in that game. That's for the February 14th game. And lastly, Napoli versus Frankfurt plus 135. I'm taking Napoli money line there, but that's also on February 21st. This line is ridiculous. Napoli, I think, is arguably one of the most dominant teams in Europe right now. They haven't lost a game in Europe. And you have a guy like Cavra who has like 5 goals, 3 assists in his last 5 UEFA Champions League games. And Frankfurt is not the most formidable team. So I definitely think Napoli are going to be winning this game. But yeah, Real Madrid money line versus Liverpool. My lock of the week at plus 205. My second is probably Napoli versus Frankfurt, and then obviously Dortmund money line versus Chelsea. But yeah, Champions League could be a great week.
I could go next. Last week, there's only two of my bets have actually been played. But I went one of two. So LeBron over cashed at 31.5, which is crazy. And then Florida got routed by Bama. Didn't cover an 8.5 point spread. I don't really want to talk about it too much. So let's talk about my picks for this upcoming week. After going 13 out of 20 overall, hoping to improve that. And the start of that is over 2 first half field goals in the Chiefs-Eagles game. It's sitting at plus 320. Pretty crazy odds. I think both teams have pretty good red zone defenses. I think it's going to be hard to punch it in. Could very easily see at least this being a pushover. Second is Kenneth Gainwell, over 19.5 rushing yards at minus 115. I like the run heavy offense for the Eagles. He kind of screwed me over a couple weeks ago, so I'm going to ride with him. Then lastly, I'm going to take Devontae Smith, over 62.5 receiving yards. It's sitting at minus 120. So yeah, those are my 3 official picks. There are also some other ones I was considering taking that y'all might want to consider taking. For instance, the big risky one is Kadarius Toney either having a pass completion or a passing touchdown. Andy Reid gets his payback on the Eagles. Philly special on Philadelphia. KT played quarterback in high school. Definitely could happen. I think the Sky Moore line is also pretty absurd. It's at 7.5 receiving yards, and I get with KT coming back and Juju being back, it probably hurts his production. But I think he's one reception away from hitting that. And then lastly, Jody Fortson. If you're looking at that, he could also be an anytime touchdown scorer play that I would really like to take. He was out majority of the season. Fun fact: 29% of his receptions are touchdowns. So if they double up Travis Kelce at tight end, look Fortson's way. I think Mahomes could definitely go there. But yeah, that's it for me.
All right, I'll fly through mine real quick. Last week, blind picks because I was on a cold streak. 2 for 3 on the blind picks. Both Pac-12 teams won. Utah and Colorado basketball. This week, just gonna fly through all Super Bowl. Eagles money line. I'm rooting for the Chiefs, but like I said before, I think the Eagles are gonna win. Jalen Hurts under 248.5 pass yards. He had 184 in a win against San Francisco, and they put up 31 points. So it shows even if they score a lot of points, it's not necessarily through his arm. And Patrick Mahomes under 2.5 passing touchdowns. Even if they do score a lot of points, I feel like a lot of that could be some Pacheco running on the goal line or something like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be Mahomes passing. So those are my 3. Yeah, so I'm looking. I think I'm at 9 of 18. I want to say maybe 8 of 19, something along those lines, all time. So yeah, those are my 3. Vinay, take us home.
Yeah, so basically last week, 1 for 3. I'm just in a slump right now. Don't really want to get into it. Let's look ahead to this upcoming week. I got Milwaukee Bucks money line against the Clippers. I'm just riding with Giannis. It's been a while since I've watched Giannis play, so I'm going to be watching that game with money down. Real quick, I'm just going to decide my next 2 bets with the flip of this coin. Heads money line for the Super Bowl and winner of the coin toss to win the Super Bowl for my next 2 picks. So look out for heads to be the coin toss and look out for the team that calls heads to win the Super Bowl. And with that,
I'm more of a tails guy. Tails never fails.
Tails never fails.
I mean, I just flipped the coin live. I just flipped the coin live on air, so I had to rock with spontaneity.
Coin doesn't lie.
Coin does not lie. Also, coin fucking. But whatever.
All right, with that concludes episode 9 of Hold Down the Fort. Really appreciate you tuning in to this longer episode. Thank you, Jonah, for pulling up with some UFC content.
Yeah,
this time it was recorded, so we do appreciate you giving us some of that.
Yeah, and we'll be sure to have you back on at some point. So leave us some punishments in the comments. I think Sam still has to do
I do
a couple or one.
Or 2.
Sorry.
Maybe
2.
Know.
Maybe it's 2. Whatever. Leave
Also,
some comments.
It will be 2 after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Also, we are on Spotify. We're finally on Spotify. We're gonna work to get on Apple Music. So definitely check out the link in the description if you want to listen to us on Spotify on your commute or wherever you desire. We're
Yeah,
gonna be
uh,
uploading on that daily as well. But for more content, like mini episodes, specials, be sure to check out the YouTube channel. And also make sure to follow all of our social media, our Instagram, our TikTok. Sam's been uploading a bunch of new content on there. And also keep
Yeah.
on the lookout for our exclusive Hold Down the Fort Twitter. That will be coming to you
Yep.
sometime within the
Yeah.
next week or two. So a lot of
Yeah.
exciting things happening. Really do appreciate you for taking the ride with us. And with that, this has been Hold on the Fort, episode 9. We'll see you next
Peace out.